Dragons have been very important in the produced GoT series and, not surprisingly, are also very important in this game. Size does matter. Applies also on these dragons, but there are some important key things to keep in mind when you want to improve your dragons, and especially when the blessing plate wheel is involved.
Bigger is better. It's a rule that applies to, well, let's say, all things in this game. It applies also for dragons. And bigger dragons are better for you. You do more damage in fights, you have better protection. You might end up with a nice skill or 2, maybe 3, 4. However, it's just about getting them up as fast as possible without thinking. There is a thought pattern, and just let me show you what I mean with that one. Dragons themselves, they have strength, and that is also the more strength there is, the more damage it deals to armies, and it ignores an army defense, and it only takes into account an enemy dragon's defense. They attack all the enemies in the same row, and they always head to the front row first. Then we have the defense, which basically means to defend against the other team's dragon. The agility, how fast it attacks in battle, the faster the better. Critical chance, the higher the dragon critical chance, the higher the chance to deal critical damage to enemies in battle. And the base critical chance here is 0%. You can see I have already 22%. It's coming from somewhere. Then we have the critical damage. The higher the dragon critical damage, the higher the damage dealt to enemies in battle. And it's also first 100%. I have 121%. A dragon protection chance, as it says, higher it is, the higher the chance to reduce the enemy dealt by the enemy dragon in battle. And we start with the 0%. It's at 18. Good. And then we have the final here, which is the protection dragon reduction, which basically means the higher it is, the less damage it will do. So how do you increase this? Well, you increase them with the dragon blessing wheels. And you have, let's say, 5 levels here. The lower one, which will be only available to you if you have a current level of below 400 and what is it? 94? If you're below it, oh, actually you have it already open from the get-go. And the higher you get, the more higher levels you will have, the more of these levels you will unlock. The more levels, I mean, higher the level of the wheel will be. Now, in these wheels, you have these middle part, which has, let's say, very nice advanced blessings to have. You can also be lucky that you get more blessing stones, and then the outer wheel, which is what you usually get. You have things like, for instance, an increasement of dragon defense by 100, another dragon defense by 100 if you unlock it first time. For instance, here we have reduces enemy bowman attack by 5% if it's maxed out, and you start with 0.1%. So it seems good, right? And basically, if you look at the wheels, you'd think every wheel is different. Well, it's not. Let me just show you. First, let's have a look at the blessing bonus. These are the advanced blessing bonuses. These are the ones from the middle wheel, the good ones, so to say. Then you have the intermediate ones, which are applicable for your, well, mostly for your dragons. Although this one, if you unlock the reset speed, I mean, you can do resets faster, you can construct faster, fine. All acceptable, so to say. And you have the ones which will increase the maximum level of your dragon, of the Moon Shadow, Dark Fire, and also of your blue dragon if you have one. Then you have the ones that will give you more protection, damage reduction, dragon protection, chance, critical damage, critical chance, and you see actually here, because I don't have it yet, it's the set by max level. I have it currently at 0. Oh, let's have a look below. The low level blessing bonus, you see that's basically it's defense, strength. Then you have defense reduction applicable to bowman, spear, cav, infantry, or overall. Then you have the 1 for health. And then also you have, if you go a little bit lower, and I'm still at 0, you have confirm attack. So it appears to be there are less options here than there are on the wheels. How is it possible? Well, the simple answer is because there are those that are on every wheel. For instance, if you look here in the top one, you can see here it increases the dragon strength by 25,000. If I go to the second wheel and look at the top, it's the same. Third, it's the same. Fourth, it's the same. And the fifth, it's the same as well. Same goes also for the dragon strength, if you have that. You have also here a dragon defense. So those are all identical, and some of them can be located only on a few wheels. For instance, this one. You have here the increased dragon chance hit, let's say by maximum 20%. If I look here, it's not there. However, the third wheel, if I check here, it's there. Same thing goes for this one we had before, the dragon protection chance. What do we have here? Again, it's there. If we look on the top wheel and see, for instance, here, dragon critical damage. We also see here the dragon protection damage. Is it on the other wheel's presence? Yes, it is. It's simply there. It's on a different location, but it's there. So we have these particular outcomes, or let's say positions, which are present on many wheels. So now comes the fall pattern. If we look at each wheel individually, you can see that for a particular spin, you need to have a particular number of blessing stones and gold. And this increases for a wheel. Before 100 is 150, here we talk about 200, 300, and let's go to the top one, it's 400. You also have the middle wheel. You can see how many of these spins you more or less will need to get there. In this case it's 100, and if I go lower it's about 350. If I land on a particular slot which is already maxed out, you get a decent amount, let's say, of blessing stones back. I think it's 20% of that, and you get a horn back. So this increasement of blessing stones is already something to keep in mind, because if I say, for instance, would be interested to unlock, let's say to increase the dragon strength, which one will be more worth it for me to spin? Would it be this wheel, which will cost me 300 blessing stones and 2 million gold? Or would it be this one, which will cost me 400 blessing stones and 3 million gold, which is blessing stones wise? It's 100 more, and gold it's 1 million more, even though the outcomes are identical. So here's indeed what I mean with think, because naturally your logical mind would say I go instantly for a higher wheel if I unlock it, but if you look what you can get, maybe it's worth it to spend more spins on a lower wheel than on a higher wheel, because it will cost you less gold and it will also cost you less of these blessing stones. So that's the first thing to think of, like, do I really need to go to the high wheel? Then it's basically the next thing is, do I really need to unlock everything? For instance, here you can see that I have this advanced blessing unlocked, this one, and this one not. This advanced blessing is so-called unexpected treasure. And if you have that, and you go to the dragon, let me just go very fast here. What will it get me? It costs 5 horns, and it will randomly give me 1 badge. However, with the update of some time ago, if you hit rebel groups, you also get badges, and more than 1. So is it really worth it to spend, let's say, many of these blessing stones and chances to get to it? I would say no, because there's a better option now available to get badges. Same goes also for this one, the blue dragon. If you don't have a blue dragon, would you really put much effort in getting, for instance, this one? Because decreases the total attack by an additional 10% if you have the Sapphire Dragon. If you don't have it, there's really no point of going for it. Same goes for here. Why would I try to get this one if I have another one unlocked if I don't have Sapphire? So that's also something to keep in mind. Do I really need it? For instance, this one, Moonshadow Awakening, that's nice to have because you get an additional skill slot, which means you can use 7 skills instead of 6. So this one is worth it to have. Darkfire skin, yeah, well, who doesn't have Darkfire? Pick up fire. I don't really see here like another Sapphire. Do I really need it? Personally, for me, it was like no. So I would spend less energy if I'm going for something. I would be this would be the on-the-spot execution, and of course trying to level up Moonshadow and also Darkfire as soon as possible and as fast as possible. And here we can see like, do I need Devastate? No. What I would like to have Dragonite. It's nice to have, but is it really that essential for me at the moment? No. Same for Merit Huntsman. If you go for merit hunting, yeah, it's useful to have. Otherwise, would you really need it? No. So if your answer to this would be like no, and this one not really, then I would not really spend that much time on this wheel, and I would really focus more on getting as many of the prior wheels, let's say, maxed out as much as you can, without spending too many of these blessing stones in gold, and just keeping in mind like the basic ball pattern. Is it, let's say, less expensive to spin this wheel compared to this wheel? If the answer is yes, I would simply go for a lower wheel. If the answer is no, then I would say yeah, go for a higher wheel. So this is how I have been trying to develop my dragon and get them as strong as possible. I hope it will be any help to you.